afternoon, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be at the berec Stakeholder Forum. I will not tell you how many berec Stakeholder Forum I've done, but a number. And I always enjoy the possibility to be here because it's a forum made of professionals which have a very high level of knowledge of the sector, in general of issues which are around electronic communication. The question and answer showed, the level of depth of the discussion. So it's always really a great pleasure. Now, also my role today is a bit uncomfortable because you can imagine, many things are happening, but they are all in the oven, in the cooking, so it's very difficult, to go in a lot of detail at this point in time. But I will try to make an effort to give you the direction of travel, though. So the direction of travel, you have seen it from the political program of the new commission, which has been spelled out by the president, from the confirmatory hearing of Vice President Virkkunen, which is entrusted also for electronic communication, among many other things. And you have seen it from the first steps, which are mainly policy papers and strategies that the Commission has published. Clearly, you see the direction which is very marked in terms of competitiveness, to make sure that Europe maintains its own strengths, industrial strengths, but also cures its weaknesses. Among those, clearly, we have a lot to do when it comes to the digital ecosystem. You have seen that we have been very assertive in saying Europe needs to be stepping up the capacities to have a better management of internal security and have capacity in defense, which of course cross very much also the whole of the digital ecosystem. The obvious ways, cybersecurity, but also many of the defense and security technology are the same technology used for commercial services. Also, you have seen that for us it remains very important the respect of fundamental rights and rule of law, and that crosses all the set of measures that have been taken in the offline and online world. In this context, looking at, again, those priorities, you see how things will unveil and how the sequence of things is organized in the coming weeks and months. The first thing, on the 9th of April, we will publish what we call the AI Content Action Plan, which is basically trying to understand how we are going to organize an ecosystem around artificial intelligence that is conducive to the investment of 200 billion that the European Commission President has announced in Paris, what kind of infrastructure measure we will take, what kind of steps we will take with all the various components of the artificial intelligence ecosystem, which is every single industry, every single company, and in which way we would like to organize our work and work together. Then going into, let's say, what is to be expected in terms of maintaining this stance on competitiveness, clearly we need to look at how to simplify rules. That's why, towards the end of the year, we have a simplification, digital simplification package where all the rules, will come under scrutiny and see what steps we need to take to simplify horizontally many of the things. We have, what we call the data union, so taking all our data rules and again, streamlining, but also making sure that we have a system which is conducive to have the best data sets available for the best European industries to grow. Because Europe is not scarce in terms of talents, Europe is not scarce in terms of data, Europe is not scarce in terms of industrial capacity. All of this must be conductive to have the best industrial artificial intelligence of the world. The elements that point into also the direction of having an infrastructure that underpins all this vision are, of course, those of connectivity and cloud. And that's why there you will see two plans that are coming together. I mean, first of all, I mean, an overall reflection and modernization and simplification of the telecom laws, which is dubbed as Digital Network Act. And, I mean, looking at many of the intricacies which make the cloud market not functioning perfectly well in Europe. When you see the density of data centers in Europe is less than what you see in the United States, and this is not okay, because a modern economy is based on cloud systems. So trying to take all the structural elements of the cloud market, there will be the AI and Cloud Development Act, and modernizing our connectivity rules, looking at convergence, as we explained in the white paper, so convergence between computing, cloud, and data transport, that is the Digital Network Act. So if I zoom in a little bit into the Digital Network Act, I mean, we have published a white book. You have read the report from Mr. Letta and Mr. Draghi in chronological order. I think we are ready to embrace quite a bold reflection on what needs to be done. We are at the beginning of this mandate, so we have time, I mean, to stabilize it, to negotiate it with the co-legislator well, so nothing should be excluded if necessary. Now, there may be a very long conversation about I mean, the telecom rules to be modernized. Maybe they are, I mean, this sectorial legislation is totally irrelevant to the big picture that I discussed before. Or maybe yes, and of course opinions are very different, and I imagine also in this room. But maybe when you dig in and you discover that Europe is not doing fantastically well when it comes to the adoption by citizens of fiber. Now you might say, but it's not bad. I mean, we are passing, I mean, the mark of already past the 50% of fiber penetration. Yeah, but I mean, our benchmark is not the lowest in class. Our benchmark should be the best possible countries of the world. And there, of course, I mean, you might conclude, yes, we have 3 or 4 countries which are at par, but the rest is not. And Europe is made of 450 million citizens. So Europe needs to be better in fiber. Europe needs to be better in 5G. I mean, native 5G, it's only 20%. It's a shame. I mean, and there's no industrial explanation for this, because in Europe we have the best telecom manufacturing companies of the world. So we have the industrial capacity, we have the possibility through our industrial capacity to supply secure networks, and we must do better in 5G and must do better in 6G. We see underinvestment when it comes to telecom companies overall. The explanation of most of these companies that, but the market is very competitive, I mean, we are burning capital, we are not the capacity. Whatever is the explanation, it has an effect that those companies which are supposed to move into software-defined networks, to move into, I mean, hybrid infrastructure, which also have cloud offering and computing offer, cannot do that. So we miss this kind of dimension of the industrial capacity, which has been the pattern 20 years ago, because many of the telecom companies in Europe contributed to the digital transformation at that time, the first, if you like, digital revolution. So the lack of capacity to invest yes, some of them are investing, but compared to the amount of money which is being announced around the world, it's little money. It's also another issue. So you sum up, I mean, a performance in fiber, which is okay, but not that okay. A performance in wireless, in spite of the industrial capacity of Europe, which is poor, the capacity of investment, which is so and so, we have reasons to think that it is not totally irrelevant that we have a discussion on the telecom regulation and how to do it better. Of course, there are things we want to keep. The competition in the European market is absolutely fierce, and companies and citizens benefit from this. We have a very competitive offer, good quality offer, and this is an indicator that, I mean, in that area, we have to be very careful, because more than fixing, we could actually worsen the situation. But at the same time, we don't want gold plating of consumer protection, because gold plating of consumer protection is not a friend of the internal market, it's not a friend of economies of scale and scope. The other element we have to be very mindful, it's security. I mean, we have to do much better when it comes to network security. So all these elements are now sitting in front of us, and I very transparently also told you what are the elements, and they now look for solution in terms of the Digital Network Act, which of course will look at all the existing legislation in telecom, the code, the other regulations that exist, and try to do an operation of simplifying rules as much as we can, making sure, I heard it, that the rules are as much horizontal as we can, and as much as internal market as we can. And here it comes, I mean, the white book with the solutions that we have kind of offered for discussion. And now we are in discussions with you, the stakeholders, with berec, with other industry actors, trying to understand which idea flies, which idea doesn't fly, which parts are missing. So that's where we are. We are absolutely determined to finish the work by the end of the year, so to present the Digital Network Act by the end of this year. And of course, in doing so, we have still a few months to go, where I think the most important thing is to get the facts right, to get the information right, and to have a package which is ambitious, but at the same time actionable and negotiable, because then if we spend 5 years in, I mean, trying to iron out a political deal with a lot of resistance everywhere, it will not work. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't say ambition has to be leveled off with, I mean, what is actionable practical, because that is too early to say, but clearly also we will deliver something that makes sense. But in doing that, internal market friendliness, same rules, same service, competitiveness, this will be very important pillars that we want to make sure that they are there. Many thanks for your attention.
Thank you.
You come back now.
Thank you. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you to you.
I remember when you came to speak to us for the 10th anniversary of berec.
Yeah,
it was you spoke about digital autonomy, strategy, sovereignty, autonomy. I can't remember the words you used.
And I was a Martian at that time.
And at that time, I was shocked. I said, what is he talking about, doing our own chips? And when you look back, you were pretty much of a visionary, I would say, when you see the state of the world today.
Visionary in Italian language means somebody that is a bit fool. I mean,
well, you need a bit of that. You need a bit of that. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.